What if everything you thought you knew about those lingering white lines behind jets was a lie? For decades, anyone who asked about chemtrails was immediately dismissed as a conspiracy theorist. But today, we're diving into a conversation that changes everything. In this powerful interview, host Tucker Carlson sits down with Dane Wigington, founder of Geoengineeringwatch.org. Dane is an engineer who never planned to uncover a global operation. Never even imagined it. But his own personal experiences, layer after layer, pushed him forward, forced him to confront a truth he couldn't ignore. They talk about what they call climate engineering, a program that involves spraying particulates into the atmosphere, supposedly to slow down global warming. But the scope of it, the players involved, and the collateral damage are beyond shocking. Truly beyond anything most people could imagine. The biggest revelation, the one that changes everything, is that this isn't merely environmental mismanagement. It is something far more calculated, far more deliberate. A covert weapon of control, hidden in plain sight. Full interview link is available in the description. The first essential step is the language itself. Dane addresses this directly. He explains that the term chemtrails was intentionally weaponized, a tool designed to marginalize and dismiss anyone who dared to bring the subject into the light. The true terminology? It is chillingly scientific. It speaks to a reality far more structured and far more deliberate.
But let's just back up a little bit. So you're calling this geoengineering. The term chemtrails, you say, is a propaganda term designed to discredit people who ask sincere questions about what the hell am I looking at?
Sticking strictly to the science is key. We must speak in the language of the agencies themselves. The proper terms, solar radiation management, or more specifically, stratospheric aerosol injection. As Dane explains, using this correct authoritative terminology prevents the immediate casual dismissal of the subject. It forces an actual, unavoidable discussion about precisely what it is we are witnessing high above us. Think about a normal condensation trail, a contrail. They dissipate quickly, but the trails we see lingering for hours, turning the sky hazy? Dane argues the physics simply doesn't allow for that, unless something much heavier than water vapor is involved.
That's something true, which is that when you look at these lines in the sky, and you're told, well, it's just condensation, it's water vapor, you know that maybe that's not the right explanation because water vapor dissipates and doesn't remain in this.
The fact that these trails persist and spread out suggests the presence of solid particulate matter, which is exactly what geoengineering programs, according to their own patents, plan to deploy to scatter sunlight. For Dane, the investigation started not with theory, but with a practical problem: his solar panels losing efficiency. This led him to test his rainwater, and what he found was deeply alarming. A primary element named in climate engineering patents.
The next 18 months, because I took that long in researching before I was willing to speak out on this issue, at the end of 18 months, I had single rain events with 3,450 parts per billion of aluminum in my rain. This is bioavailable free-form aluminum, which is toxic to all life forms, period. Primary element named in climate engineering patents, and we have the...
To put that number in perspective, the EPA recommended maximum contaminant level for aluminum in drinking water is around 50 parts per billion. Dane found 3,450 parts per billion. This level of contamination is clearly a severe threat to all life. So who is responsible for this massive operation? The guest names key players, including the Department of Defense and DARPA. The sheer scale of the operation reveals who is capable of coordinating this global effort.
Who's the biggest player? Obviously, the United States of America, because of the size of our military. The U.S. military has 3 times more aerial tankers, which are the primary aircraft used in these operations, 3 times more than all other military.
The fact that the U.S. military has 3 times the number of required aerial tankers for this operation, compared to the rest of the world combined, is compelling evidence of who is leading the charge in the skies. While the stated purpose is climate mitigation, Wigington argues that these operations have a secondary, more sinister function: The ability to manipulate the weather is the ultimate weapon of control.
They are making a bad situation worse, not better. And, Tucker, they're being used as a form of warfare. And we know that. We have countries like Iran, constantly demonized, of course, as you well know.
Dane links climate intervention to geopolitical destabilization, stating that countries on a target list endured statistically impossible, once-in-a-thousand-year droughts, suggesting deliberate manipulation of their weather and food supply. If this is a benign effort to save the planet, why is it shrouded in such extreme secrecy? The guest describes a shocking government directive that essentially silences the federal agencies that are supposed to monitor our weather.
A known element in many fields. In fact, with the nation's weathermen, National Weather Service, and NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, there is an illegal federal gag order on all agency operations with those two entities. Why would our government feel the need to gag the weathermen? I had a NOAA scientist state to my face, quote, "We all know this is going on. We have no First Amendment protection. We don't know what to..."
A gag order on weathermen is one of the clearest indications that something is being intentionally hidden. It turns the entire field into a coordinated deception, designed to maintain the narrative of natural, unintervened weather. The ability to control the weather extends far beyond creating persistent haze. Using patented technology to manipulate atmospheric pressure zones, the U.S. military, according to Wigington, has the power to steer and weaponize massive cyclonic rotations.
Done by hurricanes, no hurricanes this year. And you're saying that that's not an accident. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that we know the technology exists to steer storms of that size. And let me make a comparison. You could have a 10-year-old child divert the course of a 100,000-ton freight train by pulling a lever, literally.
This small input each on massive output mechanism is what allows a handful of powerful actors to dictate global weather patterns. Historical examples like the Vietnam-era Operation Popeye, which led to international treaties, prove this power is real. The conversation pivots to the ecological fallout of spraying these toxic elements. While the effects on insects and plankton are staggering, the impact on trees, one of the planet's primary oxygen producers, is highly visible and devastating.
I began to test rain, knowing the implications of toxic rain that contained aluminum. By the way, aluminum in regard to not just killing soil microbiome, but tree root systems. This is peer-reviewed study. Since that bioavailable aluminum, they shut down nutrient uptake. So the trees die a slow, protracted death, and all official agencies blame beetles.
Trees are shutting down their stomata, their respiratory ports, in response to the aluminum, which is shutting off their ability to breathe and uptake carbon. This accelerates the environmental crisis, while a false narrative blames natural pests. Perhaps the most disturbing claim is that the elements being sprayed are not just reflective particles, but potentially vehicles for biological agent stain sites, precipitation testing, that revealed two specific and highly dangerous materials.
We have polymer fibers and graphene in our rain. Graphene is like a vascular machete. I mean, it's listed in geoengineering patents for certain purposes. Again, they don't care about the consequences, but those two elements also, Tucker, are used militarily as biological carrier platforms to carry a pathogen from the clouds to the ground to infect the population below. Why is that in our rain right now?
Graphene and polymer fibers, materials used for military biological delivery, falling in our rain changes the entire scope of this discussion from environmental damage to an existential and deliberate assault on the population's health. Spraying reflective particles has a catastrophic, confirmed side effect. The oxidizing materials being dispersed are actively destroying the planet's primary protective layer, leaving all life exposed to dangerous UV radiation.
Over the globe, because this translates to plankton as well. No plankton, no people. We have peer-reviewed science study now for the Atlantic. Plankton population is down 90%. 90. Other oceans not far behind. That's the greatest oxygen producer on the planet.
Plankton produces over half the oxygen on Earth. Geoengineering is collapsing that population and destroying the ozone layer, proving that these programs are fueling biosphere collapse, not mitigating global warming. Climate engineering is also linked to the increasing ferocity of catastrophic wildfires. Dane reveals that aluminum nanoparticulates are highly incendiary, coating the forest floor and making everything more volatile.
is definitely climate engineering, and I'll leave it with this. We found a 140-page U.S. military document, which we posted, titled Wildfires as a Military Weapon. Within that document, 17 sites were named in the U.S. as study zones. LA was one. And including that, described exactly
The existence of a military document on using wildfires as a weapon, combined with engineered drought and anomalous zonal wind flows, suggests that catastrophic events like the La Jolla fires are inseparable from these geoengineering equations. How can a program of this magnitude continue in total secrecy for over 60 years? Dane argues that it requires a mass psychosis of denial, driven by a fear of disrupting personal livelihoods and a political class addicted to power.
When you ask them.
This is a bit like the safe and effective narrative, isn't it? Let's all have the entire medical community pretending that injecting toxic heavy metals is safe and effective, and they still pretend to this day.
The mechanism is the same. Fear of losing jobs and pensions causes people to toe the line. However, Dane believes that the sheer visual evidence and scientific data are quickly reaching a point where this silence can no longer be maintained. The conversation ends with a call to action. Given the scope of the contamination, affecting every breath we take, every drop of rain, this is no longer a political or environmental issue. It is a fight for the very existence of the human race.
I mean, no matter what other issue we're facing, and I would argue power structure maneuvering right now, from conflict zones to carnage zones, many other factors are directly related to the unfolding and accelerating biosphere collapse, which climate engineering is fueling.
Dane's work at geoengineeringwatch.org is entirely non-monetized, driven by the belief that if this battle is not won, nothing else matters. The only way to stop these programs is to force them into the full light of day, shocking the global population into action. The next steps are simple but powerful. Share credible data and ask every leader one simple, direct question that cuts through the noise. Dane's hope is that if the public awakens, the military personnel involved will stand down, refusing to participate in the destruction of their own country and planet. So, what are the three most important takeaways? First, those lines in the sky are not just condensation. They are documented particulate dispersions containing toxic elements like aluminum, polymer fibers, and graphene. Second, this program is a military operation, shrouded in secrecy with a federal gag order on U.S. weathermen, and is being used as a geopolitical weapon to cause droughts and steer storms. Third, the unintended consequences are catastrophic. The ozone layer is collapsing, trees are dying, and plankton populations, the base of our entire food web and oxygen supply, are plummeting. If we know this is happening, what is your breaking point before you demand an answer from your representatives? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video if you learned something new, and subscribe for more deep dive summaries like this one.